Hello again, and welcome to part 2 of my interview with my cousin, Lucas Alvarez O'Connell. In this second part of the interview, we'll be covering Lucas's future plans for his music and what he feels he's called to do in his coming years. On top of that, at the end of this episode, we'll have the usual credits and Songsmith challenge, so make sure to stick around for that. Without any further ado, let's continue the conversation with Lucas Alvarez O'Connell. Hello everyone, and welcome to Songsmith. I'm your host, Keaton Williamson, and my goal is to help equip you to be the best musician you can be. The purpose of this show is to give you the knowledge it takes to be a successful songwriter, producer, and indie artist, while also honoring God in whatever music you create. We all want to be successful in this crowded space, so join me as we explore what it takes to be a songsmith. So you write songs, you create music, you want to create more music. Is there a goal or a dream of what you want to do with this long term? Is there maybe an unrealistic dream high up in the clouds, or also something maybe more down to earth, something that you're striving to be toward, or some job?
No, that's a great question because I've thought about this a lot, and I think the thing that I'm going for is very tangible. I've been wanting to do missionary work. That's something that's just been laid on my heart, and I've been prophesied over that. Someone at church prophesied over me going to other nations and singing. Now, okay, you got to take prophecy with a grain of salt sometimes. I'm serious. Sometimes people will have this prophecy and say it to you, but it's sometimes not for you. You gotta evaluate that and pray for it, especially when it comes to going out to other people groups and doing ministry, because that's a huge commitment. For sure. And whether you might not be in the space to do that right now, and that's where you got to reevaluate. And so far I've not found any boundaries or closed doors to not be able to do that, and so that's kind of what I've been looking for. Might go to college, maybe to maybe do some ministry work and work on music, but I'm not really sure what that's going to take me yet.
The thing about music is, for me personally, and I've voiced this before on the show a couple times, is I don't necessarily want to get into mainstream music because it's the music industry and it's a business and they're trying to make money, and there are a lot of good people in that industry, but there also are a lot of people in it just for the money. Not necessarily artists. I know that there are some artists that don't have a great view of it. But having that, and the problem is you're always trying to please people when that's your main source of income. Yeah. If you're no longer, if people no longer like you, then you're out of luck. You need to find a new job, which is why I want music to be more of a side thing or accompaniment to something else that I can be more reliable. I haven't fully figured that out.
To get big on music, you got to be good.
Yeah. And I'm by no means good. I would rather be like the Sam Bowmans, the Xander Salas, where or even Jay Steph, because it's not his main job, but he's still doing shows locally. He's in Nashville, but also works at a coffee shop and the coffee shop he works at makes some of the best promotional content on Instagram I have ever seen.
Seriously?
It's just so funny, and it just makes me want to go to that coffee shop so bad.
A little far away, Nashville, Tennessee.
Yeah, just I'll run there tomorrow. It won't be that far. And the nice thing about it is, if you don't make music your main thing, then it can be less easy to fall into the trap of going after the money and whatnot.
When you're in that,
when it's still passion.
Yeah. And when it's your job, you're super dependent on that being the sustenance or providence for you, and if you have a family.
So if you can keep it to be more passionate and maybe still be structured about it, and I'm gonna release songs this often, or I'm gonna do such and such. Now, obviously, that comes with its own challenges, because that means you also have to work a job. Even if you do make some money off your music, there are other things you have to do to help support yourself, most likely. But finding how I want that to fit into my life is still kind of a challenge. I'm kind of just looking for what would work. It's hard. It's hard at this age, but I don't know. I pray about it and hope that.
Well, this is the time to start.
Yeah, exactly.
This is
Because
where you need to grow
I'm a
and
sophomore.
learn.
I'm a sophomore. I have plenty of time to figure it out.
Yeah.
And during this time, when I'm still under my parents' roof, I can refine my craft so that, like, maybe eventually when I start making some actual money off of it, I am at a point where I'm actually good. Like, I mean, I'm fine now, but like actually good and consistently good. So yeah, that's just another interesting point about it. As we're wrapping up the show for today, which was really fun to have you on, and I mean, I texted you 2 days ago, the day before you ended up coming. I was like, hey, you want to do this? And you're like, sure, that sounds fun. But yeah, so obviously we've talked about where your kind of more long-term goals and dreams are, but immediate future, what does that look like for you? What's a day in the life of Lucas in the next month, year look like?
That's great.
For music and just life.
I've not been diligent in my music super lately, so this is actually probably a good thing for me to be talking about. Either way, I started learning a song on the guitar. It's called Counting My Blessings by Seth Schuler and Schuletter.
It's such a weird last name. I mean, yeah.
And so I think that's really getting me started in the guitar. Piano, I'm doing lessons at school, but it's been really laid back. Though I've been learning notes, like more notes and sight reading through choir as well. And I think I have some stuff that I'm gonna be doing soon. Like I'm I'm going March, at the end of March. I will be playing on stage during the actual church service as my youth band. Yeah, we have a new youth worship leader. We have a new adult worship leader, and she's kind of the head of the worship team, and she's a lot more open to the new generation coming up and doing this kind of stuff, and I really appreciate that, because our previous leader, he was a little more strict, and she's done a great thing opening up this opportunity, and I should be doing that soon. Guys, this is ultimately about God. We gotta make sure we're pointing this back to Him, and one way is to pray. We need to pray about what we're writing. And I know you had said something earlier about this already being on your second podcast. Yeah. But I think that goes to show how important it is. And if we're going to glorify Him, we have to know who He is. And that also comes by reading His Word. And so I strongly suggest that. And just also have fun with it. If it's something you don't enjoy, maybe you need to reevaluate it. But really make sure the focus is on Jesus. Also, another thing that just popped in the near future, just maybe this summer, I can get together with you and do some songwriting. We'll have some more time, and
I'll be able to drive, meet up with you, either bring my stuff or maybe you come over here sometimes. That being behind the wheel of a car will be very freeing. Well, I want to thank you for coming on to the show and for taking the time to talk. It's been a ton of fun, and I hope you enjoyed it. Maybe one day this will blow up and you'll get super famous or something. Yeah. Now for this episode's Songsmith Challenge. This challenge might be a little more challenging to do, ironically, and the reason for it is this. The challenge is to collaborate on a song with another songwriter. This doesn't have to be this big, elaborate thing. Just find a friend or somebody you know in your kind of immediate friend group that you could write a song together with. Preferably you're trying to write an entire song, but even if you can just sit down and start getting the experience of writing like a verse, a chorus, a little bit of a song together, and understanding how that dynamic in working with another person works for you. Again, depending on your situation, it may be a little bit hard to find someone to do this with, but if you can, I highly encourage it. So what are you waiting for? Go on and get writing. Thank you guys for tuning in to part 2 of my first official bonus episodes. It was super fun to do this interview with my cousin and just kind of have a nice, fun conversation about songwriting and what that looks like for us. As I said earlier in episode 1 of this bonus episode duo, links to his church, their website, their Instagram page, and all of that will be in the show notes of today's episode, and they're also in the show notes of our last episode. As always, if you have comments, recommendations, ideas for future episodes, you can send me those over Instagram, email, or use the link that's in my link tree, as well as in the show notes of the Spotify episodes, to send a voice message to me. I want to hear your guys' music. If you have stuff you've created and it's on YouTube, on Spotify, wherever it can be listened to, or if you just want to send me a file over email, I'd love to hear what you guys are making. As always, the point of the show is to build a community of songwriters that we can show each other and build each other up with. Be sure to tune in next Monday for the next episode of the show, but until then, keep on writing.